Where did the Thunderbolts come from, and how did we get to this film? We'll start with the comic. That's where they first appeared. Created by Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley. First presented to readers in the Marvel Universe in The Incredible Hulk, issue number 449 in January of 97. Team of flamboyant new heroes who stepped up to fill the gap left when the Avengers were declared dead. The team was initially created by Baron Helmut Zemo to strengthen his hold on international crime, but they turned on him when they realized that being heroes is more fulfilling than their old criminal lives. So that's where Thunderbolts started in the comics. Group of supervillains disguised as superheroes. They all had code names, right? And with the final page of the first issue of the series, the Thunderbolts series, it reveals that the Thunderbolts were actually the masters of evil. A surprise twist that was carefully guarded by Marvel. There's also been 12 versions of the Thunderbolts. I'm not going to go over every version, but my favorite after reviewing the Wikipedia page is the one, Thunderbolts 6. Led by the Red Hulk. It has Deadpool, Elektra, Punisher, Agent Venom, which is Flash Thompson. After he loses the use of his legs, he then jumps at the offer to be bonded with a Venom symbiote, and that gives him the ability to use his legs again and allow him to walk again. So Flash Thompson from Spider-Man now is Agent Venom. Red Leader, who started off as a janitor in Boise. And look how far he's come. Exposed to gamma radiation, mutated him into a green-skinned super-intelligent entity who originally named himself the Leader. He then transformed to get an oversized brain, recorded and was utilized by the Red Hulk to be his intelligence, basically. A character named Mercy, who I'm not incredibly familiar with. Abigail Mercy Wright, she considers herself on a mission of mercy to help those who are overcome with despair but do not have the strength to commit suicide. Yikes. That's dark. That's pretty dark. And, the Thunderbolts movie is dark. A lot of people wanted it to be a lot darker, but this is kind of where we are when you have Disney in the mix. I don't know how dark you can get it, especially with a PG-13 movie. And then the final member of that Thunderbolts team that I love, Ghost Rider. So can you imagine Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, Jennifer Garner's Elektra? Which Punisher do you go with? Do you go with Thomas Jane's Punisher? Do you go with Dolph Lundgren's Punisher? Do you bring back Joe Manganiello as Flash Thompson to be Agent Venom? Even though, he's probably over the whole superhero thing, considering his whole foray in the DC universe didn't go according to plan. But we've seen that before, where it doesn't go according to plan with DC, and then it happens with Marvel and vice versa. I don't know who you'd get to play Red Leader. That's for dang sure. And then Mercy, that'd be cool. But Nick Cage's Ghost Rider with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, Jennifer Garner's Elektra, Thomas Jane's Punisher, I don't know. So that was the most interesting version to me. The most recent version of the Thunderbolts in the comics, I think it's the 12th version, really is the one that most closely aligns with the MCU film version. So in the comics version with Thunderbolts 12, following the events of Captain America Cold War, Bucky Barnes assembles a new lineup consisting of the world's best spies and assassins to permanently eliminate the Red Skull. So Bucky Barnes is the leader, going under the codename Revolution. You have Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, short and sweet, but it's not actually her. It's a life model decoy, which is a fictional type of android. You have the Red Guardian, Alexei Shostakov, Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, White Widow, Yelena Belova, Game Master Shang-Chi, U.S. Agent John F. Walker, and the Destroyer Sharon Carter, who is secret agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., great niece of Peggy Carter, who in the MCU eventually became the power broker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Spoiler. Shang-Chi, Game Master, that could be an interesting addition to the MCU version. But you can see Bucky Barnes, Valentina, Red Guardian, Black Widow, White Widow, U.S. Agent, they're all in the MCU film version of Thunderbolts. So how did this come to be? From comics to the big screen? During the production of Guardians of the Galaxy, which was helmed by James Gunn back in 2014, he expressed interest in making a film based on the Marvel Comics team Thunderbolts, a group of anti-heroes and super criminals. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige said that this was a possibility based on the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy. May 2021 comes around, Gunn is no longer interested in doing the idea because he's directing the Suicide Squad, the 2021 version, not the 2016 version. Because the team from DC Comics is based on a similar concept to the Thunderbolts. And I'm here to say, this feels like this is James Gunn's bread and butter. This is like his go-to, his formula for success, his secret recipe. It's not so secret. I mean, if you watch Creature Commandos, which was the animated series on Max, you look at Suicide Squad 2021, you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, it's always a band of misfits. It's like, let's throw together 4 to 5 to 6 different personalities, but they're all in unique traits and characteristics, and throw them all together and watch the fireworks. So that seems to be like his go-to move, and it's like it's worked out like a charm. That's why it's interesting to see what James Gunn will do with Superman, which is supposed to come out in July, where, judging by the trailers and the promos and a lot of the assets that have been released so far, it's like, well, there's more to it than just Superman. Where James Gunn is a big, just from his track record, his history of work, he likes to dig into the deep, into the treasure chest, into the trove, to find off-kilter, unique characters that have never been given the spotlight. So, it's worked. And my assumption is you're going to see a bunch of characters in Superman you haven't seen before, but that he's gone to the way back corner of the vault. He's pulled out some real gems to put them on display. Despite how he misled America and the world about The Flash, I still have the utmost confidence in him to pull off Superman. Who knows? Like, James Gunn's Thunderbolts, would it have been any better than what we saw? Maybe. But I still think it would have been maybe a slightly better. But I still think what we got was a pretty good product. I plan to kind of go over where it really falls in terms of not just Phase 5 projects, but also since Endgame. Because that was the main thing that got me the hook, was best film since Endgame. And so we'll see, like, of the films released since then, where it stands up and stacks up. So Gunn's out as of May 2021. If we go back to June 2018, Hannah John Kamen was very interested in reprising her role as Ava Starr, aka Ghost, who appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp for a potential Thunderbolts film. Ghost is a member of the team in a version of the team in the comics, so it would make sense. The Disney Plus series The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which released in 2021, introduced Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Countess Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, and it shows her recruiting Wyatt Russell's character John F. Walker, who was Captain America after Steve Rogers, even though Steve Rogers, as we saw at the end of Endgame, hands over the shield to Sam Wilson, who was Falcon. The government, I guess, had other plans, and so they made John Walker the new Captain America, and we all saw how that went. Ends up killing a guy in front of everyone, and everyone's got their phones out and is filming, and so that began his downfall. I ended up watching Black Widow before seeing this movie, just to kind of refamiliarize myself with the characters and the story arcs and whatnot. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch Captain America Brave New World, which I feel like is a major oversight. I understand you're trying to get the most bang for your buck in terms of your releases, but if Captain America Brave New World released in mid-February, Thunderbolts is premiering May 1st, why wouldn't you go through a slightly shortened, condensed window? Captain America Brave New World, the week leading up to Thunderbolts, needs to be on Disney Plus, at the very least. Not available on Disney Plus, which I think it's a misstep. It's just a misfire on their part, strategically. I think, that would have been a huge way for them to get Disney Plus a huge spike in traffic, and to build more interest in Thunderbolts. So it's like, did you need to see Captain America Brave New World to understand Thunderbolts? I don't think so. As far as I could tell, there was only one mention, and it came during DeFontaine's impeachment trial, where she mentions the Red Hulk on top of the White House. But also, Bucky Barnes is a congressman in the movie. Like, I guess that was probably something that happened in Brave New World. So, yeah, you won't be completely lost if you haven't seen Brave New World. At least I wasn't. But the end of Black Widow, DeFontaine goes to, in the post-credits scene, she's shown and appearing next to Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova, aka White Widow, to recruit her to a team. She doesn't say, we're gonna call you the Thunderbolts. It's just like, you seem like a person that I could use. Deadline Hollywood suggested that Thaddeus Ross could be recast for the film following original actor William Hurt's death in March 2022. Since that character has strong ties to the team in the comics, they did end up recasting it and ended up being Harrison Ford. He then becomes the Red Hulk in Captain America Brave New World. That, from a logical outsider's perspective, would be the tie, the connection, right? Is like, okay, Captain America Brave New World introduces Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross as the Red Hulk. He finds a way to then recruit this Black Ops team. No, not the case. It feels a little weird to have, like, you have a guy named Thunderbolt Ross. You have a team called the Thunderbolts. Zero connection. That was a little weird. But, I mean, I kind of understand it from Kevin Feige's standpoint and his creative team and the people behind MCU. It's like, we don't want to go beat for beat with the comics, because then yes, you want to pay some fan service to the comic book readers and say, look how, loyal we are to the comics, but you also don't want to do it beat for beat, point for point, because then isn't that a little boring? Like, don't you want something a little bit more? You want to be surprised. You want there to be twists. This was a kind of a weird one, though. It was just like, this is how they were formed?